I appreciate you following along with me as I review every chapter in Lies My Doctor Told Me, Medical Myths That Can Harm You by Dr. Ken Berry. Please make sure you like, subscribe, and share. If you find anything that we've given you or sharing with you beneficial to you, we appreciate your support on our channel. Thank you. So in chapter 1, he kind of starts off by talking about his story, his history. You know that he went to medical school with about 175 other people from all walks of life, but he wants you to kind of understand the motivation why people go to medical school. And he goes on to talks about a lot of times it's a family demands that their son or daughter go to medical school or becomes an attorney. Some of them go to medical school for the money and the riches. Some want to be the first one to be in their family who becomes a doctor. So there's all kinds of reasons and motivations. He does say the smallest percentage are the ones that truly want to make a difference in life as a medical doctor. And he shares with us that medical school requires many hours of study, both in solitude and in groups. Time away from home, family, and friends, that it is one of the hardest things that they have to do and suffer through. And I think it's important that we understand that. And what he wants us to understand about medical students is because he wants to kind of get us in the mindset of doctors and medical students to understand what's going on with our situation. The problem with medical students, past and present, is unless one of their parents was a doctor, they really don't understand what it means to be a doctor. What does it mean to be a doctor? Well, day-to-day life of a doctor was a mystery to us, but we still wanted to live it. Many doctors, when they finish this journey, are disheartened and disenchanted with the realities of the new career. What are some of the problems of the new career? Few doctors will walk away from their investment in this career. So what he talks about is they get into the medical field and they're not happy, but they've invested so much time and money, they're not going to give up being a doctor because they got way too much invested. They may be disenchanted with the fact that they have to answer to others. They have to work for a hospital. The fact that they have so much student loan debt and or trying to run your own practice is extremely difficult, expensive, and risky. The other thing, because they have a lot of bills to pay, doctors have a lot of bills. We have to remember this. Not only to empathize with our doctors, but to understand a lot of their motivation. When you have a lot of bills to pay, what are you going to do? You're going to find something wrong with every patient because that's how your insurance company reimburses you. There's too much paperwork, doctors say, too much paperwork to read, millions of words of federal regulations, state regulations, city regulations. A weight of such things can stifle even the most brilliant and motivated professional. Therefore, expecting a doctor to keep up with all the latest research so that he can have an independent thought about his patients and conditions is too much to ask. They have so many things on their plate, so many concerns, worries, so many other people to make happy, and we have to realize that they can spend but a very little time with us and or on our medical conditions. They're not going to be proactively, most of them, out there searching and learning the newest, the latest, the greatest. They're going to get into a system and they're going to stick to that system. They're going to find 10 drugs that they like, that works, they think works, and they're going to sell, encourage, whatever you want to call it, those drugs. They're not having the time to become independent thinkers anymore. One thing I like what he says is we have to understand the fact that our doctor can't keep up on new trends, new medicine, new procedures and things isn't our fault, but it is our problem. So if our doctor is stuck in their ways, and I've had doctors both ways, stuck in their ways and also very aggressive, then that is our problem. We have to recognize that this doctor isn't going anywhere, and maybe it's time to make a change. What he wants us to understand is the most powerful and deceptive medical lie of all is that your doctor knows everything there is to know about your health and about medicine in general. Just not the case. Your doctor only sees you for a couple minutes. He pulls up your file real quick, scans it, and goes, oh yeah, I kind of remember this maybe, and moves on. doesn't have the time to do the research on your medical conditions. We walk into a doctor's office assuming they know us. They're very familiar with us. They're not. They're not. We have to make sure that we understand that doctors don't know everything. They have a very limited scope of knowledge. A lot of the doctors don't see a reason to keep up to date on new medical journals coming out. A lot of it's because, like I said previous, they're so busy in their medical practice, they don't have the time. They don't see any incentive to do it. They're not given the time to do it. They also lose the desire to do it because of the BS that they have to go through in managing their practices. He also tells us that a lot of times the medical societies and the medical boards hamper doctors from having their own thought processes. They really don't want doctors to think outside the box. They want them to fit this and do this. And remember, we can lead our doctors to knowledge, but we can't make them learn the knowledge. So if you present things to your doctors and they aren't willing to entertain it and go with it, then that's a problem for you, not for the doctor. A very good point that he makes is simply this: your life is not a video game or movie. Every decision you make about your health or allow your doctor to make about your health, whether well thought out or foolish, can have enormous effects on your long term health and happiness. You don't get extra credit for blindly following your doctor. So, chapter one for him is all about understanding your doctor's human. They're infallible. They don't know everything, and it's your responsibility. You should be your best advocate. You, the patient, are the ones that need to be pushing the issues and learning and growing. If your doctor's not willing to do it, maybe it's time to move on. Your doctor is human. Despite the reputation and or his own personal belief, he is only human. They have weaknesses, so you don't want to blindly assume he does this. You must make sure he knows what he's talking about. Another great point he makes is a doctor-patient relationship or should be a partnership. And I feel like I'm blessed because I have that with several of my doctors. I have a partnership, and I really like that. You should expect your doctor not to give you incorrect or outdated advice. You should expect your doctor not to offer you a new pill just because of the slick ads or a kickback from the pharmaceutical companies. You should never blindly accept your doctor's advice. You should do your own homework. You should ask for second opinions. I talked about my medical conditions that one doctor to the other doctor. I bounce things off everybody. And I understand that research studies don't show the whole story. You got to understand, research studies are funded by an interested party, and they got a reason why they want the results or the outcome or the data of a research project to come out in a certain way. Otherwise, they wouldn't fund it. Understand that your doctors can't keep up with all the research. There's too much of it out there. He wants you to understand that he's writing this book not as an indictment of the medical field and our doctors, but to give us a complete overall awareness of the medical field, of our doctors, what they've gone through, and try to get a better understanding of them in chapter one. So, in summary of chapter one, you should never trust something that is so precious and valuable as your health to the opinion of one person, not even your doctor. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you in chapter two.